Democrats have a sick obsession with hating white people right now. We start today's show with a clip from someone so vile, so hateful, that he couldn't even stay on CNN, which is really saying something. I am talking, of course, about Don Lemon. Don Lemon thought it was a good idea this week to start off his stream talking about how men who look like me are evil and have caused all the crime in America. Take a look.
Men who look like you, men who vote like you, and men who sound like you. White men, something is broken. Something is cracked deep inside when so many of you believe the answer to fear, to loss, to change is violence. Are you listening to me? I hope I'm saying it loud enough for the people in the back.
A quick fact check on Don Lemon, 2.45 per 1,000 white men commit violent crimes, and for black men, that number is 6.45 per 1,000. So you are 3 times more likely to commit a violent crime if you're a black man. Those are the stats. Hate is ugly, Don Lemon, but there's nothing wrong with citing accurate and true stats. But when you lie about those stats in order to try to prove a point, that's how you know that you're just hateful. There's nothing cool about lying about things because, again, you would rather lie about a group of people than address the real problem and fix violent crime. And Don Lemon is not the only one. Joy Reid has been pretty much the poster child of anti-American, anti-white sentiment for years at this point. She is getting roasted online right now for saying that her parents, who are from the Congo as well as Guyana, said that they have more opportunity there than America because they're black. Take a look.
I mean, and as somebody who's, my parents, my father was from the Congo and my mother was from Guyana. And so they were the immigrants who came here on purpose and they got the rude awakening. My mother got the rude awakening, like, oh, it's racist here. that's weird. For some reason, she was like, tell me, why go to school? Yeah, she's like, tell me this is the land of opportunity, but not for me. It's weird.
As many online have pointed out, the average annual salary in Guyana is $5,200 for the whole year. Joy Reid made $3 million a year on MSNBC before she got fired, of course, and she did her job horribly. So if you want to talk about American exceptionalism or where opportunity is best, where you can just make the most out of yourself, you can come to America, and Joy Reid has proved this, and be a super crappy propagandist and make $3 million a year. It does not get better than that. Try that in the Congo. Here's what is fascinating about Joy Reid. She actually understands conservatives pretty well. That was made evident by a video that just came out from an interview that she had. She doesn't want what conservatives want, but she does understand it. Here's a video of her describing the conservative goal.
That if you go back before the 20th century, there were no income taxes, there were no regulations on business. You could earn as much money as you want, leave 100% of it to your children with no taxes. Right. That's the world they want back. And to get it back, they need society to change. They need people to be less modern. They need people to want fewer things.
No, please don't cut the income taxes. No, please don't make it so we can make as much money as possible and then hand it down to our kids. Is she serious? Is she serious? Did those words actually come out of her mouth? And she thought that that was something that people don't want? The interviewer's looking at her like, what? What are you saying right now? This is a crazy admission. By saying that, she is admitting that she doesn't want that, right? She would rather say that the government should take all of your money, then you should be able to pass it on to future generations. She openly admits that in the interview. Another Democrat this week openly admitting to hating white people as well as just common sense good things is Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, who again has an approval rating of like 15% right now. So it's no surprise why, after you see this video, Brandon Johnson says openly that law enforcement is a sickness.
The fact of the matter is we are driving violence down on this city and we're using every single resource that's available to us. Jails and incarceration and law enforcement is a sickness that has not led to safe communities. I'm going to work hard every single day to protect the people who are caught up in violence in this city. Guess why? You want to know why? Because the vast majority of them look like me. This president has never asked a very simple question to me, Brandon Scott, Barbara Lee, Randall Woodfin. He doesn't talk to black mayors about what it's like to live in communities that have been disinvested in.
Let's be very clear about this. Brandon Johnson does not see himself as the mayor of Chicago. He sees himself as the mayor of Black Chicago. He is in it for his own race, and that is it. He's got no allegiance to anybody else. And he knows that black men are causing most of the crimes in Chicago because it's a quick Google search, and I'm sure he sees all kinds of horrible things happen every single weekend in Chicago and does nothing about it. And he knows who is doing the crime, and that's why he calls his own law enforcement a sickness, because it's the only way to rectify in his mind those crazy beliefs of anti-whiteness at the same time of he can do no wrong, and his culture and his community can do no wrong. Ilhan Omar is the exact same way. This week, she went on a show saying that white European values should not be preserved in America.
So the idea that this is a white nation that needs to be preserved is a fascinatingly disgusting view, because this country is one for the many.
So it isn't that skin color matters. It doesn't. It's that this nation was founded on Western European principles. Leftists refuse to acknowledge that. They say, ridiculous things like it was founded on black people in 1619. I'm sorry, that's not true. The slave trade was horrible, but nothing about America was created by slaves from Africa. If you look at the values, all of it is Western European Christian values, all of it. As it turns out, each culture has its own culture. We don't want the culture of other nations here to dominate Western values. If you wanted that, go to those countries. If you want Indian culture, if you like the caste system, go to India. I'm not saying, honestly, I'm really not. I'm not even saying that we need to just expend all these resources and time trying to Westernize these other countries. That was a kind of, a thought point from conservatism in the early 2000s with the Bush administration. I don't even think that's a very productive thing for America to do. I think there's a lot of historical precedents that has backfired. I think there's maybe some justification for doing it here in the Western Hemisphere. On the Eastern Hemisphere, I think that is a futile effort, really. And so I'm not even saying that. If you want those places, they're going to be there. They're going to be there, and I don't even think America should try to meddle that hard in their culture. But don't come here wanting Indian culture or Japanese culture or Russian culture. Sorry, you're going to get American culture, which again was founded on Christian Western ideals in Europe. Here we celebrate our European heritage, I think we should, and all the Western wisdom that comes with it. If you like the other wisdom of other countries, go there. I don't care about your skin color. I care about the culture. The idea that all cultures are created equal is ludicrous. And I think conservatives have, in some ways, especially the more moderate ones, tried to kind of appease people and talk about how they are. They're just not. Hamas children in Gaza City do not have the same values in their culture as American kids playing on a playground. That's not going to work the same way. I'm sorry. It doesn't mean that they're not worth something. It doesn't mean that all humans aren't worth the same. I believe they are. I believe God loves all of his children equally. But that doesn't mean the cultures are equal. Again, if you love that culture, go to Gaza City or the West Bank. And this culture does have consequences. The presence of mayors who say law enforcement is a sickness does have consequences right now. Unfortunately, this is a really sad story. Just came out. A 22-year-old girl, her name is Logan Federico, was murdered by someone who had 39 prior arrests. Her dad spoke at a hearing. Very, very powerful. Take a look.
Dead. Gone. Why? Because Alexander Devontae Dickey, who was arrested 39 goddamn times, 25 felonies, was on the street. How about that? How good are we doing for our family? How good are you doing for your kids? He should have been in jail for over 140 years for all the crimes he committed. You know how much time he spent in prison? A little over 600 days in 10 years. He's only 30 years old. He was committing 2.65 crimes a year.
But law enforcement is a sickness, and European values like the rule of law, incarcerating offenders, low crime rates, those are just for white supremacy. That's what they would have you believe. It's easy to say all of that until it actually affects you. You'll notice that the only people saying those things are the elites, always. The people with bodyguards, with private security, the people who never go on the subway. And the good news is that those elites have very little, they have a lot of power in terms of how they move and shake. But in terms of voting power, they have very little, actually. They really do. And they convince a lot of people to vote for them, which is unfortunate. But at the end of the day, I believe that the power is with the people. And it can be with the people if they actually hold their elected officials accountable. And the people who vote are the people on the subways. They're the people without bodyguards, without private security. The people who vote feel this stuff every day. It is the reason Black Americans and Hispanics came out, as well as Native Americans, I should add, came out in record numbers for Trump. I think there is a tipping point. I think we're seeing it right now. The progressive left is a cult. I talk all about it in my book, A New Cult. Go check it out right now. I talk about some crazy stories, how the left has truly done some cult-like things. Again, the link is in the description below. Now, there's a lot of bad news every single day, but I want to talk about some good news today. Members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints have raised over $250,000 for the family of one of the people who died in the Michigan shooting. And again, you can ask yourself, was this one of the 4 people who died? It was not. And this is why the story is so important. It was the shooter's family. That is who they are raising money for right now. It is shocking. This is according to Newsweek. Newsweek says a fundraiser for relatives of Michigan church shooter Thomas Jacob Sanford has amassed over $200,000, including dozens of donations from Mormons who extolled no barriers for compassion and empathy. This online campaign, created for family of Sanford, a 40-year-old former Marine who was killed by police at a Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints chapel in Grand Blanc, cites the financial hardship and psychological trauma in the wake of Sunday's attack. And this is really important. I think this is where the empathy comes from. Sanford leaves behind a wife and children who must be grieving. The Give, Send, Go fundraiser reads, on top of that, one of Sanford's sons deals with serious medical challenges that require ongoing care, treatment, and specialized support. In the past, the family attempted to raise funds for him, but with limited success. Another donor gave $1,000, addressed Sanford's family directly. And I think this really sums up the community and what's going on right now. They say, as a community, as humans, and as disciples of Jesus Christ, we grieve for your immediate loss, and we wish to share in supporting you as you shoulder the heavy weight of life in the aftermath. We are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. While we haven't met, we're now connected, and we love your family and pray for strength and courage as you heal. That's inspiring. Again, that is a member of the church directly speaking to the family of the person who hated them and went and murdered 4 of them. If any of us are struggling to be more charitable, more Christ-like, there's your motivation right there. We do have some new information on the motives of the shooter. This is according to Fox News. They said Sanford began making these sentiments known years ago following his return from Utah, where he dated, but later broke up with a girlfriend who was a member of the Mormon faith. The 2 childhood friends said Fox News interviewed 2 childhood friends. And this is where we really get the motivation. They said Sanford had moved to Utah after leaving the Marines and told his friends he'd become addicted to methamphetamines, according to the AP. One time that Sanford spouted off about his grievances against the church was at a wedding 13 years ago, one of his friends said. So this is very ongoing. This is a direct quote. We were like, come on, we don't need to hear this, Bobby Kalush, who grew up down the road from Sanford, told the AP. When he came back from Utah, he was a completely different person. Around bonfires with friends, it wasn't unusual for Sanford to start talking about how Mormons were going to take over, added Francis. It was just so random. It was like, why Mormons, dude? It's hard to explain. We didn't take it serious. To be fair, as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we are going to take over. It's true. It's a very fast-growing church. The church has a lot of land. I think that's where that's coming from. I say that tongue-in-cheek. Obviously, we're not going to take over unless taking over means donating to people who try to do evil things. Their families rather, not them, but their families who were also victims of what he's done. It's very clear at this point that he hated Mormons, and so he went to shoot them. It's that simple. I mean, a lot of people have tried to chalk this up to some sort of political attack. It's not. You can see right here from the Give, Send, Go, the exact dollar amount that's been donated so far is $287,000, which is huge. I actually have the Give, Send, Go in the description below if you're interested in donating yourself. The sad part of this story is there are some people who are mad at members of the church for doing this. I'm not joking. There's actually people who are very upset online. When Fox News posted the story on X, these were the top comments. These are the very top of everything they could have posted. The first one reads, Mormons are giving money to the killer's family. Why not give money to the families of the victims? Second one, why are they raising money for the suspects and not the victims? Backwards culture. First off, there are a lot of funds for the victims. Lots of people donating, and you can rest assured that the actual local community outside of the church in other states, but they're in Grand Blanc, they're definitely doing a lot for the 4 people who lost their lives and those families, right? This last one says, this kind of compassion is called a pompous praying. Do not encourage the enemies. And this one is particularly challenging. Obviously, the top two just thought that they weren't donating to victims. I don't know why they wouldn't think that. That seems kind of obvious. That goes without saying. And they obviously didn't do one iota of research to even verify if that was true or not. But the last one's very troubling. You saw after Charlie Kirk's widow, Erica, came out and forgave the killer, a lot of this same backlash. People coming out and saying, this is wrong. You shouldn't forgive people. And also purporting to be Christian. And I just have to be kind of clear about this. There's nothing more Christian than forgiving someone and serving someone who hates you. That's literally what Christ told us to do over and over and over again while he was on the earth during his ministry. There's really only two options for the people tweeting this. The first is that these people do not understand Christ or what it means to be a Christian. Christ obviously explicitly taught the opposite of what they're saying. But the second option, which I actually think is more plausible, is that these people are bots. It's estimated 60% of X users are bots. A lot of the time we're arguing with bots on X. I truly believe that these are bots paid by foreign governments to make us hate each other. There's a lot of evidence that Russia and China do that a lot. Fortunately, I think this is a futile attempt. It's sad that this happens. I don't think it's real because I think people are smarter than this, but it is a futile attempt. I am often pessimistic about the future of America based on just the horrible things I see every day. This story, however, and this is why I say it's futile, the story gives me hope. It gives me hope that maybe America isn't as far gone as we might think. And I think the bots, as powerful as they can be at time, they can't hold anything to this. And so it's going to keep going. I think it just means fantastic things for America moving forward. There are a lot of things that I can't get to in this episode, or there's things that big tech simply won't allow me to talk about. And that's why I've created my new Substack. Substack is a weekly newsletter that comes right to your email, completely free to you. I talk about, again, just different things I'm not able to talk about here. So go check it out right now. The link is in the description below. Thank you so much for watching today's episode, everybody. Please like the video so other great patriots like yourselves will see it. And you can tune in every single weekday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show, or you can watch another video right here.